fascinating stuff on the inside of the iPad. You know, when we look at the iPad and the iPad mini, we're hearing big numbers about sales over the weekends. A lot. We don't know how much of that's iPad mini and iPad itself. But the effect on the stock is of course, obvious what's going on with this company. As we look at the news behind the stock, though, I came down to Los Angeles to work with the folks at IHSI Supply to take apart the iPad mini and really show what's in the guts of this device. And really interesting stuff on the inside of this device. Of course, the screen is smaller, and it's a typical version of the touch screen as we've seen. But what's interesting here is that the chipset itself, or the chips as they're laid out on the circuit board, dramatically different than anything I've ever seen in an Apple product. The lack of a spacious design actually suggests a very different kind of design for the circuit board itself. Check out what Andy Wessel had to say about that.
The density is a lot lower on the iPad mini when it comes to components. There's a lot more open surface area, as we saw. There are components on only one side. This is a lot more spread out, but it's because of the fact that designers have more surface area behind the screen to work with.
So kind of interesting, as they shrink the design, it actually creates a lot more open space in the circuit board, maybe principally because the LTE chips and the cellular chips are not yet on these versions of the iPad mini that are being sold. These are Wi-Fi only. So there are big gaping holes in the circuit board, unlike your typical Apple product. But the cost is very interesting here as well. The company breaking down the cost, and what you see kind of surprisingly is that some of the things that actually are most expensive, the display and the touch screen, the mechanical enclosure of the device, the sensors, those are the accelerometers and the gyroscopes that sort of let you move the device and play games, let the lights go on and off, and the flash costs, the memory costs, those are going to come down dramatically over time, maybe faster than anything else, and that may add to profits from this company. But what's also interesting is that these are a lot of the same kinds of chips that Apple has used on prior products, the same kind of design that Apple has used on products. The guts of this device actually show us that Apple may be lacking guts in terms of the design for this product.
You don't see, for example, in the iPhone 5, you don't see the iPad mini pushing the envelope on things like touchscreen technology with integrated in-cell touch. You don't see a major investment there. You don't see a new rollout of a CPU. You're talking about recycled components from other devices. So this is a low-cost, low-risk strategy for Apple to try a new market.
So bringing down the size is principally the innovation here. There's not a lot of new stuff in this thing, but that also offers hope. Apple guided saying that their profits on this device would be a lot less than prior devices. That may or may not be correct, but what it does mean is that over time, because these are the old components, that price for Apple at least could come down quite a bit before the cost comes down from the consumer. The end result, more profits for Apple in the near future.
All right, I'm hiding my devices from you. I don't want you to get your hands on them and take them apart. I'm going to hide everybody's in the office by the time you get back. But how do the guts compare to the Kindle or your new BFF, the Microsoft Surface?
Yeah, I'm not going BFF with the Surface quite yet, but I did spend a lot of time with that thing. And we also took apart a Surface. We're going to look at that later in the week. But what's interesting about this is this is a classic Apple design, shrunken down, and not really changed all that much. It really is what we see from the outside is in some ways what we see from the inside. This is just a smaller iPad, nothing more special than that. The Kindle and the Surface are going in very different directions to provide a very different experience for the user.